Wormholes are gone, Chip.
Babe, no more wormholes. How do you feel about it?
Sweet, I love it.
I am very happy this house has been dewormed. It now looks a lot prettier.
This house looks so different.
At the height of her success, Joanna Gaines walked away, and no one saw it coming. In 2017, Fixer Upper was dominating HGTV, with millions of viewers and a design style shaping homes everywhere. There was no cancellation, no scandal, no public fallout, just a decision that left fans confused. Most people thought she would fade from the spotlight. She didn't. So why did Joanna Gaines really leave Fixer Upper? And what happened after she stepped away? Join us as we uncover the real story about what really happened to Joanna Gaines. She was never supposed to end up on television at all. Joanna Lee Stevens practically lived her early life as a nomad. She grew up across multiple states because her father's military career required the family to move, and by the time she was 12, they had relocated to Waco, Texas, where her father, Jerry, eventually opened his own tire shop. That tire shop is one of the most important places in Joanna Gaines's story, and not because of what it sold. The shop is where Joanna first understood what design could do. She spent time there as a teenager and began rearranging it, moving displays, thinking about how the space felt to someone walking in for the first time. Her father, seeing what she was doing, gave her the freedom to try things. That early instinct, that a space could be transformed by someone who cared about how it looked and felt, became the foundation of everything she built professionally. But her actual plan was journalism. Joanna attended Baylor University in Waco, earned a degree in communications, and interned at the CBS News Bureau in New York City. She has shared photos of herself standing outside the CBS Broadcast Center in college, with the caption describing her dream of becoming a broadcast journalist. The woman who would eventually transform how millions of people think about their living rooms originally wanted to be on the other side of the camera, reporting the news. Then she came home to Waco and walked into her father's tire shop one day, only to find a man named Chip Gaines having his car serviced. She has described the first meeting as not particularly romantic. He chased her for a while before she gave him a proper chance. But once she did, things moved fast. They went on their first date in 2001, got engaged in 2003 at a mall with no ring, picked out the ring together afterward, and got married later that same year. By the time most people their age were still figuring out what they wanted to do with their lives, Joanna and Chip had already come home from their honeymoon and started renovating their first house. Chip had already been flipping houses for a few years. The business was real, but it was also chaotic, driven by his energy and enthusiasm rather than by any particularly refined system. What Joanna brought to it was the design eye that had been developing since her teenage years in her father's tire shop. She could walk into a broken-down house and see what it could be, rather than what it was. That specific ability, rarer than most people realize, became the entire premise of Fixer Upper. But the show did not exist yet, and nobody was looking for them. So how does a woman fixing up houses in Waco, Texas, end up on national television watched by millions of people every week? The blog post that changed everything. Joanna started keeping a blog about the houses she and Chip were renovating. It was not a carefully constructed content strategy. It was a woman writing honestly about what they were building and learning, with photographs of the work in progress and the finished results. The blog found an audience organically, and one of its readers was an executive at High Noon Entertainment, the production company behind the cooking competition Cake Boss. That executive saw the photographs and the writing and thought there was a television show somewhere inside it. He reached out and suggested the couple film a short video, a sizzle reel, to pitch the concept. Before any of that happened, though, There is a chapter of Joanna's story that is often skipped in coverage because it is uncomfortable and does not fit the warm, aspirational image of the Magnolia brand. She has spoken publicly about being bullied throughout her school years because of her Korean heritage. She was often the only Asian American student in her school and has described being scared to eat in school cafeterias because of the attention her appearance drew. Her mother is Korean, her father is Lebanese and German, and growing up in Texas in the late 1980s and early 1990s as a mixed-race child in predominantly white schools was genuinely difficult. She has said those years shaped her in ways she is still unpacking. The drive to build something of her own, to create environments where people feel welcome and seen, is not entirely separate from the experience of spending years in environments where she did not feel either of those things. The sizzle reel led to a pilot. The pilot aired on HGTV on May 23, 2013. The format was simple. Chip and Joanna showed a couple of potential homes in the Waco area, each requiring a different level of work. And once the couple chose their house, Joanna designed the renovation while Chip managed the construction. The format's simplicity worked because the people in it were genuinely compelling. Chip was loud and funny. Joanna was calm and precise, with a specific gift for knowing what a space needed. The first full season began in April 2014, and the show became a hit almost immediately. By season 3, it was the most-watched show on HGTV. By season 5, it was one of the most-watched shows on cable television. The couple who had been fixing up houses in Waco for a decade without anyone outside Texas knowing their names had become genuinely famous, and the aesthetic they had been quietly developing across hundreds of renovation projects. The shiplap walls, the farmhouse sinks, the barn doors, and the neutral palettes with warm wood tones had become one of the most imitated interior design styles in the country. Zillow reported in 2018 that homes featuring design elements featured on Fixer Upper, including wainscoting, shiplap, clawfoot bathtubs, and barn doors, were selling at an average of 30% above expected value. The show had not just made Joanna Gaines famous, it had materially changed the real estate market for an entire category of residential property. Home Depot began selling shiplap specifically because of Fixer Upper. Magnolia Market, their Waco retail store, went from a small local shop to a destination that people drove hours to visit, turning the city of Waco itself into a tourism destination that it had never been before. And then, in November 2017, with the 5th season airing and the ratings still strong, Joanna and Chip announced they were stopping. The statement they released said they felt called to take a break from television to focus on their family, their businesses, and to simply breathe. They said they did not know what came next, but were excited to find out. The network said it respected their decision. The internet said it was heartbroken. And the real story of what happened was considerably more interesting than a simple decision to rest. So, what was really driving it? And what did she do with the 5 years that followed? The real reason she left, and the empire she built while she was gone. Joanna Gaines has been honest about burnout in a way that is unusual for someone of her public profile. She has spoken about the pace of the final seasons of Fixer Upper in a way that makes the decision to stop feel less like a luxury and more like survival. She and Chip were filming television, running a retail business, managing a restaurant, raising 4 children, and trying to maintain a marriage in the middle of it all. She described feeling like she was constantly running, never stopping long enough to know whether she was running toward or away from something. The specific pace of what Fixer Upper required is worth understanding before judging the decision to leave it. Each season involved multiple full home renovations shot under tight production timelines. Every single project required Joanna to design an entire house, specify every material and fixture, oversee the creative execution, and then appear on camera to reveal the finished result to a family who had been living elsewhere for weeks. Multiply that across a full season, and then multiply that across 5 seasons running back-to-back over 4 years. She said in multiple interviews that by the final season, she was designing homes on autopilot, making decisions she was not fully present for because there was simply no space in the schedule to slow down and actually think. That is not a sustainable way to do creative work, and she knew it. She has also been specific about something that most television personalities never admit publicly. She did not love being on camera. She loved the design work and the renovation process. She loved turning a broken-down house into something beautiful. But the performance aspect of television, having cameras follow her through every step of every project and document every reaction and every conversation, was not something she found natural or fulfilling. She did it well because she is a professional. But when she was honest with herself about which parts of the work she actually wanted to do, the camera was not near the top of the list. What she did with the time after Fixer Upper stopped filming in 2017 was not rest. It was a construction of a different kind. She and Chip had already been building the Magnolia brand on the side of the show for years, and with the show no longer demanding the majority of their time and energy, they could turn their full attention to what they actually wanted to build. In 2019, they announced the launch of Magnolia Network, their own television channel that would replace the existing DIY network on cable. The announcement was significant. They were not returning to HGTV as employees of someone else's network. They were building their own network. The show that had made them famous gave them the audience and the capital to buy independence. And independence was what they actually wanted. The lead paint fine happened in this period too. In June 2017, just months before they announced they were leaving Fixer Upper, Chip and Joanna settled with the Environmental Protection Agency over allegations that they had violated rules for the safe handling of lead paint during home renovations. They paid $40,000 in fines. They also issued a statement saying they remained committed to raising awareness in their community and their industry about proper renovation practices. It was a genuine legal matter involving genuine regulatory violations, and it is part of the record of how the Magnolia business operated during the years the show was producing renovations at the pace a television schedule demanded. The Magnolia brand that exists now is genuinely enormous. In addition to the television network, there is Magnolia Market, the Waco retail destination that draws hundreds of thousands of visitors each year to a city of 300,000 people. There is Magnolia Table, the restaurant. There is Silo's Baking Company and the Magnolia Press Coffee Shop. There is the Magnolia Journal magazine. There is Hotel 1928, a boutique hotel that the couple converted from a historic building in downtown Waco. There is the Hearth and Hand with Magnolia Collection at Target. There is a rug and pillow line with Anthropology. There is a New York Times best-selling memoir, several cookbooks, a home design book, and multiple children's books. Joanna Gaines did not walk away from her career in 2017. She walked toward a version of it she actually wanted. So what does Joanna Gaines look like now, in 2025 and 2026, and where does the story actually stand? The controversies and the comeback. Fixer Upper. Welcome Home premiered in January 2021 as the launch program for the Magnolia Network soft launch on Discovery+. Then came Fixer Upper, The Castle in 2022, Fixer Upper, The Hotel in 2023, and Fixer Upper, The Lake House in 2024. Each installment tackled a single large-scale project, rather than the original show's format of multiple residential renovations per season. The castle was a genuine medieval castle in Waco that the couple personally purchased and converted. The hotel was a historic building transformed into a boutique property. The lake house was a waterfront property renovation. The format gave Joanna the space to go deeper into a single project, rather than the rapid pace of the original show, which suited her considerably better. In 2025, she co-launched Fixer Upper, Colorado Mountain House, the first fixer-upper project outside Texas. The episode starred her daughter, Ella Gaines, who was 19 years old at the time and making her design debut, which is a significant passing of the torch moment that Joanna has been visibly emotional about in interviews. She has 2 children at college now, Drake and Ella, and has described the process of watching them leave as one of the hardest things she has experienced as a parent. She wrote on Instagram about 2 kids at college and described the season as one big, breathless surrender. The woman who built an empire around making spaces beautiful has also been very honest about the specific kind of grief that comes with a house becoming quieter. The controversy over the gay couple in Back to the Frontier warrants mention because it sparked significant public debate in 2025. The show, which is a Magnolia Network production about families returning to simpler living, featured a gay couple as participants. A significant portion of the evangelical Christian audience, a core part of Joanna and Chip's fan base, was unhappy with the decision. Chip Gaines publicly and vocally defended it on social media. Joanna has not walked away from her faith, which is central to both her public identity and her private life, but she and Chip have consistently declined to define their platform in the terms some of their audience have wanted to impose on it. The controversy showed that the Magnolia empire is not insulated from cultural tension, and that the decisions they make about whose stories they tell carry genuine consequences for their audience. On the personal side, the divorce rumors that have periodically circulated about Chip and Joanna Gaines appear to have no factual basis. Both of them have addressed the rumors directly multiple times, with Joanna writing in a blog post that people should not believe big news about them that has not been confirmed on their official sites. They have been married since 2003 and, by every verifiable account, remain genuinely committed to each other in both their business and personal lives. Chip has described Joanna as the visionary of everything they have built. Joanna has described him as someone who makes her laugh every single day. After more than 20 years of marriage, 5 children, and one of the most scrutinized public relationships in the home improvement space, the partnership appears intact. She also designed a Barbie dream house in 2025, which Mattel produced as a collaboration. It came with a Barbie doll that was designed to resemble her. She released a children's book called The World Needs the Wonder You See. She launched the Food Network series Magnolia Table at the Farm. She appeared at the Tim Tebow Foundation Celebrity Gala and Golf Classic. She is, as of 2026, one of the most productive and multi-directional public figures to have come out of the reality television era of the 2010s, and she did it not by hanging on to the format that made her famous, but by understanding clearly what that format had given her and building something entirely her own out of it. Her design aesthetic has evolved significantly since the shiplap years, too, which is something her longtime fans have noticed and discussed at length. She has moved away from the gray and white neutral palette that defined early fixer-upper toward darker, moodier spaces. She is using more textured wallpaper, more mid-century elements, and more unexpected color combinations. The farmhouse chic she accidentally made famous is not quite what she produces for her own spaces anymore. She has grown past the thing she created, which is one of the rarer things a cultural influencer can do without losing the audience that came to them for the original thing. The answer to the question of what really happened to Joanna Gaines from Fixer Upper is both simple and complicated. The simple version is that she left a show at its peak, built a network, grew an empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars, returned to television on her own terms in formats she controlled, and is currently one of the most influential voices in American home design and lifestyle media. The complicated version is that she did all of that while being bullied for her ethnicity in school, while raising 5 children, while managing a marriage under enormous public scrutiny, while building a television network from scratch in a city of 300,000 people in Central Texas, while writing books and launching product lines and dealing with a lead paint regulatory settlement and periodic accusations from every direction about what her platform should and should not represent. The complicated version is the real one, and she is still in the middle of it. Do you think she made the right call leaving Fixer Upper when she did? And out of everything in the Magnolia empire, which part do you think is the most impressive thing she has built? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.